Mission accomplished.
Seat as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
But wait, there's more.
The conversation of he won't be given security, he's not going to be given a title. And also concerns and conversations about how dark his skin might be when he's born.
Hold up.
Hold up.
There's
Stop
several
right now.
there's several conversations.
There's a
about
conversation with you
with Harry
about how dark your baby is going to be?
potentially and what that would mean or look like.
Oprah, they're so racist. That's not racist. Because even black people want to know. How brown the baby gonna be?
That conversation I'm never going to share.
Ooh, this is uncomfortable.
We'll talk when we get home.
Hello, my queens. I was muted there for a second. That's why I paused. Good to see you. Welcome to our Sunday night reading of Betrayal by Tom Bauer. And we are going to start in the paragraph that we read last time, but just because it kind of begins the whole lawsuit topic, which, if you're following along, is page 121. Let's see. Are there people here? There are. Michelle is here. Hi, Michelle. Good to see you. Crafty Nana, so glad you're here. So glad you get notifications. I don't notice the notifications until later in the day. They go to my email. And then I'm clearing out my email at the end of the day, and it'll be all the notifications from things I asked for notifications for. I never catch anything live. I do my best, but I don't. Michelle says, goodbye from the USA. Harry and Meghan. Astios. Don't let the door kick you in the tuchus. Sarah's here. Good to see you, Sarah. Hello, hello. Hi, Janice. Good to see you. Nadine, hello. Yes, it's been a very interesting week. I don't know how much of it I actually believe, to be honest with you. Do you really think Harry, Meghan, and the kids are all moving back? Now, they did say for an extended period of time. They never said permanently. So one idea is that, they're going to try 1 year of the kids in school there because they're young enough they can move to another school. They're in kindergarten and second grade. I mean, it is kind of sad that in second grade, just because they can't get their life together and get along with people, that they have to truck their kids to another country. But the good news is they get to spend more time with their grandpa. However, they have a grandpa in the United States that their mom has prevented them from meeting. In fact, their grandpa, their dad, never even met. Meghan has never had Harry meet her dad. Right? I heard that recently. Why do I feel like there was one Thanksgiving dinner where they all got together? Am I thinking of something else? Maybe it was just Doria, the mom. Which, by the way, where's Doria? She just still living in the shed out in the back? Is she going to stay there? Apparently, they're not going to sell their house. How do these people who can't sell a jar of jam and really are blowing through money right and left? They have money. They could retire and live the rest of their lives, but not the way they're living. I could retire on the money they have and live a very comfortable rest of my life, as could they. But they choose not to. They choose to live in expensive zip codes and fly private and live high off the hog and live in mansion-esque estates as opposed to anything logical and logical and sensible. And the word sensitive was going to come out of my mouth for some reason. Sensible. They just can't do it. Yeah, they have to keep up with the Joneses, but now the Joneses don't care about them anymore, so there's no Joneses to keep up with because they have nobody to hang out with. So I think that's part of it. Was it Tom Sykes's channel, The Royalist, who I heard yesterday when I was doing some cooking? I heard him say that he interviewed somebody from an organization in the United States government that looks into enforcing deportations. And apparently they have been asking for Harry's file and has never been released to them. They've been here 6 years. For 6 years. Apparently recently they were given a portion of it, but not all of it. And it's something like 300 pages long. What could possibly be in it besides the application's not 300 pages long. I can guarantee you that. What is all this information that they have on him? I don't know. But rumor has it that they feel like they're getting closer to all of his visa application stuff being released, at which point he has documented in the book Spare that all the illicit drugs that he has taken in his life. And one of the questions on the application is, have you taken any drugs? Now, nobody knows what his answer to that was. And according to the guy who was being interviewed, who works on this committee, most people, not all, but most people, he said, I caught that word most people who write yes, they have taken some form of illegal drug in their life are not permitted in the country. So there are exceptions. So the question is, was Harry given an exception? Did he answer it honestly? If he didn't answer it honestly, he could face 5 years imprisonment and being kicked out of the country to never come back in. At minimum, getting kicked out of the country and never being allowed back in. That's like he can't even visit if he wants to go to a world soccer football. I'm like, what is the other sport they call it? Game. Yeah. I don't think there's any other reason he would want to come back here because, I mean, besides that one polo player, is it polo or is it? Yeah, I think it's polo. I think there's a polo player that Harry is friends with who he follows around. And I think the polo player's wife is the one that was on Meghan's show because she couldn't get any celebrities at all. The closest thing to a celebrity is Christy Teigen, who's awful, who's just awful. Like, she's not in the media at all anymore because she's bullied a gal who ended up taking, I mean, that's no kudos, no feather in her cap for that. And I guess the next closest thing would be the mother of Beyonce. Oh, gosh. Anyway, and then the lawsuit, apparently the judgment came down. I keep hearing mixed things on different channels, so I have to keep listening to get the exact amount. It is my understanding that the full $50 million, the judge said, yes, you can recoup that from them. So I think now the next phase is the judge saying how much of each of that is delineated to which people, that they can handpick and choose based on wealth, or, because they can handpick and choose based on who they think can pay it back. They're not going to tell the one lady who lost her son that was dragged into this case but had no evidence or any reason to be a part of this case. That was like awful to her that they did that to her. But they're not going to tell her that she has to owe any millions of dollars. She probably doesn't even have $100,000. So certainly it's going to go to Elton and Harry. And it seems like the bulk of it should go to Harry. It would be so interesting. So I guess at minimum, it's 8 million apiece based on how many people were in the judgment. And then I think he has 6 million of coverage. So he would owe at minimum, if I understand it correctly, if they divide the amount up equally, which they won't, but if the amount is divided up equally, it's about $8 million per person that was in the court case or judgment that Harry, from the prosecutor side. And I think Harry personally, this is where it gets really confusing because people talk about it, but they don't specify exactly. Are you talking about the group? Are you talking about an individual? But it seems to me that Harry personally has $6 million of coverage for himself. Insurance coverage. He's not going to get any more insurance coverage if he wants to go to court after this. No way, Jose. So it seems like at minimum he owes 2 million, but I think it's going to be way more than that. And for that reason, and the fact that he could go to court, he could go to jail in America, he's moving back to his home country. And of course he's taking the kids because Harry's been the primary parent of those kids this whole time. They are connected to daddy more than they are mommy. It's just facts, I think. Harry seems much more connected to him. He seems like he cares about him. He seems like he wanted them all along. Whereas it comes across, in my opinion, that Meghan uses them to get things that she wants. Okay. That is my soapbox. I think they'll stay until he gets that IPP security. They're so sneaky. Yeah, that would be awful, wouldn't it? Really awful for the British taxpayer because that's millions of dollars a year that goes to Harry's security. That would be awful, really. Hi, PS1, and welcome. So much drama. I know, so much. Ashley said that they have rich friends who offer favors. Yeah, that's how they're getting through things now, but they're dropping off. We don't hear from Tyler Perry at all anymore. We don't hear from Beyonce at all anymore. We don't hear anything about Oprah. We never heard anything about George Clooney. Actually, I think right after they moved to the United States, right when the bad press started, which I think may have been the Oprah interview, I think Clooney chimed in and defended them. And since then, crickets, nothing. He wants to be in his dad's will. I believe that. I believe that they think that he is pretty close to dying and they are trying to get their grubby little hands on as much as they can. Janice said, there's a theory that this is the first step in a pre-divorce agreement between Harry and Meghan. Yeah, I've heard that too. I mean, we always said they weren't going to stay married that long, but I want to know if they get divorced and he has residency in the UK, does the fact that Meghan lives in California, does that automatic 50-50 split on your finances apply? But that would be, I mean, I don't know what my guess is. Meghan had him sign an ironclad prenuptial agreement that benefits her in so many ways. And he's just so dumb and he didn't understand anything. He didn't even know how to shop for anything. He didn't know how to buy. He didn't know how to pay for electricity bill. He knew nothing. So she's probably like, and when you get married, you have to sign this paperwork and that too. And it protects you and it protects me. Yeah, that line. And it probably is very beneficial to Meghan. That would be my guess how it went down because she's so manipulative. And I feel like he's going to get taken in a divorce. Now, she gets 50% of everything that he has if they make it past 10 years. And that's why I always thought at the 10-year mark is when things are going to fall apart for them. But I don't know if that 50-50 thing applies if he's not a resident there, but she is? How does that work? They live in 2 different countries, not even states. I don't know. All right. Crafty Nana said, Meghan's done the research. She'll do whatever benefits her best. Yes. And I think this is a move to get connected with the royal family again, because their notoriety is just plummeted. They're not getting invites to anything. They didn't get invited to the Met. They're not getting invited to dinner parties. They're not getting invited to anything that they want to be invited to. They're not in the A list that they thought they were going to be the top of. They're not even there. They're in D list. They're D list territory. They're like pariahs. Nobody wants to touch them. Harry, they're kind of like, whatever. He's a nice little puppy dog. But he comes with Meghan, so no thank you. I don't think, I don't know if Harry's as innocent as he tries to come across. He might be as dumb as he comes across, but I don't know about, anyway. So I feel like this is an opportunity. Let's take 1 year. Let's have our kids go to British schools, because there's prestige in that. I've never heard this before. I'd never heard anybody in the United States ever say, go to Britain to get a good education. Not that there's a bad education there. I've just never heard, what is this? We want them to have a good education to go there. And then they said something about like the because of the shootings. I'm like, well, first of all, this is the size of England. This is the size of the United States. So could there be more shootings in the United States than in England? Yes, there could be, due to sheer population and size. Does anybody personally know anyone that was involved in any kind of school shootings? Like, it's on the news because you have a huge country, so anything big that's happened gets broadcast nationally, making it seem like, wow, all these incredible, awful things are happening, both in the weather and in crime and in politics and everything. You know, not so much that way. I mean, maybe if you live in Washington, D.C., New York, and L.A., other than that, no. Mm-mm. I mean, there are cities that crime is pretty bad in. I mean, you know that before you would move there. Anyway, I think inner city across the world is pretty much assumed to not be that safe. So I find it interesting that, like, that's the what she's going to hang her hat on now. Now we're going to say how Great Britain is and how horrible the United States is. Fine. You know what? Fine. Give it to them. Tell her it's awful. It's unsafe. It was unsafe in Britain. Now it's unsafe for her kids in America. They can't go to school here. Not safe. You go there. Those private schools are what educated Harry. That's all I'm going to say. It's not the schools. It's the student. End of story. Across the board in every country. All right. Let's jump in and we'll see what happens. I do believe there is a very good chance that Harry will go with the kids. Meghan, I think she will originally go with them. She'll be there while the kids get into school, and then adios. Oh, I've got this meeting to do in LA. Oh, I got this commercial I'm shooting. Oh, I'm playing a extra or a, what's it called when you play yourself in a movie? That's the only role she's played since she's been back, is herself, which is not really acting. It's being yourself. Cameo, that's it. Maybe she has a cameo. And so she has to come a month ahead of time to prepare and, get ready, and then shoot it for a couple weeks, and then, a couple weeks to unwind afterwards. She'll be here for months and then go back. And I don't think Harry could do that. I think Harry would melt down. I think that he loves his kids, and I think Meghan acts like she does, in my opinion. I mean, I don't even know how you can say she acts like she does because of the way that she uses them so much in media. I'm trying to protect my kids. I'm trying to protect my kids, but I'm going to name elephants after them just to remind everybody of who these little we're going to use titles of prince and princess in a country that doesn't recognize any of those titles. We're going to use the titles there. Okay, Meghan. We're going to name candles in my line after my kids. I'm going to talk about which jam each one of my kids likes the most, but don't talk about my kids. I'm trying to keep them private But here's another picture and another picture and another picture. Yes, it's of the side or of the back of them, but still, here's thousands of pictures. Do you know what? I have zero idea of what George Clooney's kids look like. I know he had twins. He and Amal had twins. That's all I know. I don't even know what age they're. I don't know anything about them. I've never seen a photo. I don't know anything about who else has kids. I do know about the Kardashian kids, so there you go. Like real famous celebrities. I don't know anything about Martha Stewart's family. That's just topical right now. I don't know anything about. I don't even know who famous celebrities are anymore because I'm not on social media and I don't watch a whole lot of TV shows. But I will say any shows that I do watch, like My Gilded Age, Carrie Coon, who stars on it, I have no idea if she's married or has kids or what her kids' ages are, if she does, or any of the other actors on there. Like, I don't know, but Harry and Meghan posted everywhere, constantly putting it up on Instagram for all the news channels to pick up and share around the world. Okay. I said I was going to get off my soapbox. I'm going to have to put a timestamp on this for when we're starting. Here we go. In September of 2021, Harry instructed his lawyers to issue a high court claim for a judicial review against the Home Office. In particular, Harry complained that Mottram's decision subjected him to unlawful and unfair treatment. In secrecy, Ravik had failed to offer a clear and full explanation of how they came to the decision to treat him uniquely, less favorably than others. Not only was Ravik's failure to commission a RMB report unlawful, he said, but Ravik's denial of 24-hour armed guards was illegal. Illegal. Edward Young was flummoxed. Harry's action was unprecedented. Judicial review against the Home Office. The Home Office, is that the royal family? Is that the Home Office? Because that would be unprecedented. A member of the royal family suing the Queen's government, in the Queen's court embarrassed the monarchy. The Queen's private secretary, noted one observer, was puzzled about who had encouraged Harry to take to the courts. And Young was also terrified that Harry was suing two newspapers. In one case, he had employed 4 barristers. In the end, they blamed Meghan. Harry's claim against the Home Office was unknown to the public. His lawyers asked the judge to keep the proceedings secret. The Home Office opposed the denial of open justice and awaited the judge's decision. Excited by firing off on so many fronts, Harry and Meghan arrived in New York later that month on a high-profile visit. Just crowned by Time magazine as #1 among America's 100 most influential people. Let me just say, those most influential people are not always for positive. It's not 100 of America's best people or 100 of America's most beloved people. Most influential. There have been people on that list who are awful. Well, my husband just sent me a text. What are your plans? Should I leave a door unlocked or opened? For who? Why would I not have a key to the house? I don't know what he's talking about. We're going on. All right. Just crowned. Time magazine's America's most 100 influential people. The couple had reached the zenith of their fame and popularity. Without any problems, the Sussex's staff had pursued the city's mayor and police to provide the maximum security necessary for the Queen's grandson. Bursting with enthusiasm, the Sussexes had every reason to believe they were privileged royals. Although Meghan had told Vanity Fair, "I've never defined myself by my relationship," she always introduced herself as the Duchess of Sussex, not least as a nascent, don't know that word, politician in telephone calls to 2 Republican senators to promote paid parental leave. Every move in Manhattan was carefully planned to satisfy the Sussexes' narrative, their importance as members of the royal family. Their tour included visits to the site of the Twin Towers, the United Nations, and the headquarters of the World Health Organization, all ideal photo opportunities for the Netflix cameraman, given access for chosen sequences. In preparing for the Sussexes' visit to the Mahala Jackson Elementary School in Harlem, spokesman Toya Holness told the school's head that Meghan would be filming reading her new book, The Bench, to a class of children. To perfect the image, Holness had arranged to have the classroom transformed to make it look more appealing. You can't show what the schools really look like, and yeah, okay. The room's walls were painted. Oh my gosh. Attractive cushions were strategically placed, and the lighting improved. In advance, the city's media spokeswoman, Danielle Filson, sent Holmes her draft press release. Holness objected to Filson's description of Meghan reading aloud. She wanted a more substantial description of Meghan, contributing to community support. Filson replied that the release should not be promotionary, exactly what the Sussexes did want. Holness won that battle. To control their image, Meghan demanded that everyone involved, including city officials, sign NDAs and not make any negative comments about the couple. I'm going to sneeze. Hold on. Sorry. The result was media reports about her carping demands. Since journalists were excluded from the school, their reports ridiculed the appropriateness of Meghan's $15,000 outfit, including a Loro Piana cashmere coat. Loro Piana? Never heard of it, of course. Anything that's $15,000 I would not know about. They also questioned how her Happy Family book was relevant to the deprived children that she was meeting, and whether the Sussexes could promote a fictional father's relationship with his child, considering that they were both estranged from their own fathers. Those jibs were ignored. Or those jibes were ignored. I think I've heard that term before, but it's not one I've ever used. Okay, the Sussexes' quest for public approval in America remained secure, just as their reputations in Britain became more precarious. At the same time, Jason Kanoff had signed a statement that Meghan had not told the truth in her Mail on Sunday case. Her statement that she had not consulted Kanoff about her letter to her father and her denial of any cooperation with Omid Scobie, said Kanoff, was untrue. This woman gets caught in more lies. I mean, honest to goodness, it's shocking to me. Absolutely shocking. She gets away with it. Nobody really calls her out. They just ghost her. Like, that's why she has no friends anymore. It's my understanding that text message that she apparently just received on the broadcast from Beyonce. Oh, Beyonce said, way to be a warrior or whatever, was one of two things. Because it was from that point on that Beyonce didn't communicate with her anymore. Allegedly. This is what I've heard. And one of two things. One, Beyonce was really upset that she shared something that she sent privately to Meghan, which was not uncommon because by now, she didn't know back then, but now we all know no matter what is said in Meghan's presence, even if she promises not to say anything, I guess she has to sign an NDA. That's all she understands is the language of NDA. If she doesn't sign an NDA, she's going to blab anything she sees or hears or receives at all to other people. She can't help herself. She just can't help herself. And sure enough, here's another time, just like Harry and Meghan, all through the Netflix series, all through the Oprah interview, all through the book Spare, sharing all these personal moments with the royal family and private conversations and everything. Everything is fair game when dealing with Harry and Meghan, and Beyonce experienced it too. Now ghosted. All right. Oh, number 2 was she never sent it. I think maybe she did send it, and she was, because somebody said that Beyonce was just really upset that she shared something private. I think there is a chance she sent it. But the reason why some people say she didn't send it is because not one producer actually saw the text message. Meghan didn't share it with anybody. But I think that's because the time and date stamp would have been on it, and they didn't just receive it then. So she received it. This is how Meghan does. She kind of twists things. She takes a little bit of truth and then manipulates it to benefit her. Okay. Where are we? So this is when Jason Kanoff actually signed a statement saying that Meghan had lied. Not only had he been consulted about the letter, but on Meghan's orders, he had given Omid Scobie a copy of Meghan's letter to her father. She keeps claiming that she has no idea and that they stole it and it was taken away. Meghan ordered Omid Scobie to have a copy of this. Clearly, Meghan had expected her private letter would be published. Schillings communicated this to Meghan. Clearly shocked by Knopf's version of events, Meghan composed herself. In adversity, she took advice and fought back. She carefully arranged for herself and Harry to be filmed as if reading that message from Schillings for the first time, of course. Always pretending, just like the phone call. Oh, what? I'm sitting here on a cooking show and my husband called me? What? Yeah. They would off with their heads if somebody would have seen her phone ringing and they answered it and it was Prince Harry. They answered her private phone and then brought it to her. Yeah. So the whole fakeness of that. Who is it? Oh, it's my husband. Unbelievable. Okay, wait, let me finish that sentence. She carefully arranged for herself and Harry to be filmed as if reading that message from Schillings for the first time, flying on a private jet to New York. How do we deal with that? She asked Harry. She then accused William, of course, of authorizing Knopf's statement to be leaked to the Times. It's your brother, she said on camera. Harry agreed. They'll try to cover it up. In the context of Knopf accusing Meghan of lying, the Sussexes' sound bites were nonsensical. But in their battle to damage William's reputation and that of the monarchy, their contrived exchange, all filmed for the Netflix documentary, was perfect, especially after what followed in New York and London. The Mail on Sunday appealed against Meghan's victory. 7 weeks before the appeal was to be heard in London in November of 2021, Harry was on the stage at a Rewired conference in New York denouncing the media. Recently, he had called the First Amendment, America's constitutional cornerstone to protect the media from state censorship, as bonkers and vulgar. Get educated or leave the country, Harry. That's what I got to say. The media, he told the conference, had no interest in publishing the truth. His truth. Publishes the truth. If they don't agree, if they don't say what Harry and Meghan think, then they just think it's all lies and that person should be sued. Nobody's allowed to speak their mind or they can besmirch the name of people. They can accuse people of things. They can share private conversations and text messages, and that's all fine. But God forbid anybody say anything about them. We want our privacy. How dare they do this to us? We're such victims. He told the conference he had no interest in publishing the truth. Quote, misinformation is a global humanitarian crisis, end quote. There's a lot more global humanitarian crises. I don't think misinformation is at the top of that list. Inaccurate journalists were damned by Harry as the pirates with press cards who have hijacked the most powerful industry in the world. He asked, if the news media is supposed to be holding us to account, who is holding them to account? I would love to see a movement to expose the unethical, the immoral, and dishonest amongst them. End quote. Emotionally, he attacked the British media for creating news with a vested interest to provoke Meghan's untimely death. Like, this is all the things he's saying and he believes. And yet now, nothing's changed, but he's going back to Britain. Just proof that it was all just to be victims. Poor me, love me, pay for me to go here, give me private jets, give me private security, treat me like a prince or a king, but I don't want to be beholden to you. I'll do my own stuff. I'll work for myself, but I'll take your money and I'll take money to do all these appearances, and I'll take your protection. Should we do a bet on how long it's going to be that before that protection he gets from Ravik? I hope never. I hope never. I mean, one of the conditions was he had to live in the country. That's another reason that he's probably there, to get this protection and then leave. But I think once he leaves, they revoke it again. I mean, they have every right to, right? I don't think it's a once you get it, you can't take it away situation. Because he had it before he left the royal family. So yeah. Okay. Just as Harry delivered that condemnation, Meghan, acting on her lawyer's advice, admitted Knopf's allegations. Indeed, she admitted that she had signed an inaccurate statement. She apologized to the judges. In normal legal cases, Meghan would have been vulnerable to merciless cross-examination during a trial, weakening her case against the Mail on Sunday. But despite her mistake, Shillings were confident of victory. England's judges, the lawyers knew, were prejudiced against the media and historically always supported the royal family. The lawyers' prediction was accurate. 3 judges accepted Meghan's apology, blaming an unfortunate lapse of memory. A proper trial, they declared, was unnecessary, and then they ruled in her favor. The Sussexes were euphoric. This is a victory not just for me, but for anyone who has ever felt scared to stand up for what is right, said Meghan, damning the Mail and other tabloids. In the nearly 3 years since this began, I have been patient in the face of deception, intimidation, and calculated attacks. Meghan and Harry had every reason to believe they were a protected golden couple with the world at their feet. Neither would be familiar with the witch's warning at the opening of Macbeth. Quote, shall he dwindle, peak, and pine? End quote. Those at the top rarely have the foresight to imagine their irreversible decline. And this is why Harry went forward with that case against the Mail on Sunday, because this was written well before that case that Harry just brought. It says right here, the royal family always wins whenever it goes to court. Probably ever since Diana, they always won. And in fairness, the media used to use unsavory, unscrupulous means of gathering data. They did do phone tapping and that in the past, decades ago, not now. More than 2 decades ago, because the whole lawsuit was about things from about 25 years ago. 24 years ago, 22 years ago. There was nothing recent in there. So Harry has to be aware, since there's no allegations for anything in the past 2 decades, that this is not something that happens anymore. But yet we're still going to go to court because he just wants money out of them. It's just like, well, this is an easy way, kind of like if you want water, you just turn on the tap. Well, if you want money, you just go to court. This is what Harry's always done, and he's always gotten money for doing it. So he insisted on doing it again, even though he didn't have a case. The lawyer's like, fine. My bill, it's millions. Chapter 14, Spare. The editing process was chaotic, recalled one editor at Penguin Random House, describing the scene in Manhattan in early of 2022. Drafts of chapters sent by Moringer were distributed among several editors, all at levels of seniority. Each editor rewrote the draft and returned their own versions. Adding to the confusion, the editor's revised chapters became redundant because Moringer had rewritten his original draft chapter and then had reworked it again after Harry and Moringer's wife, Shannon Welch, had also added comments. Quote, Moringer introduced chaos, end quote, observed one editor. Quote, I discovered that we were working from several drafts of the same chapters, end quote. It sounds like Penguin Random House is kind of a mess. I don't know if you can trust them anymore. I mean, obviously. I mean, they can't even, organize who's being the editor and reading through it for everything. And they have all different, everyone's got different, it's just a mess. That's a mess. They're the company that's publishing Charles Spencer's book, too. A little worried about that because Charles Spencer has a proclivity for hyperbolic speech, if you will. And he does tend to like a good exaggeration. So I'm a little worried about what he's going to say in this book. And he's dear friends with Harry and not William. One origin of the problem was a disagreement between Moringer and Harry about the book's core theme, the prince himself. To understand Harry, the British class system and the aristocracy, there you go. I couldn't get the word aristocracy. Moringer was encouraged to visit Harry's friends in Britain. Moringer would write, quote, I interviewed the socks off all the people in Harry's inner circle, a vital phase in every ghosting job, end quote. Oh, because he's the ghost writer. I'm like, ghosting? Okay. The friends he visited described not only Harry's drinking, drugs, and nightclubbing, but also his problems at school and with his parents. None of the interviews made the final version. Only Guy Pelly, among Harry's many friends, merited a brief mention, while his polo friend Nacho Figueres was co-signed to the acknowledgments. Nacho, I think he's the polo friend that's in the United States now. Multiple pages written by Moringer arrived at Penguin Random House with intimate details about Harry's life in Britain, but without any context of the prince living in a gilded cage. The editors never had the sense that Moringer understood Harry's life as a wayward multimillionaire without a care about money, homelessness, or unemployment. Instead, Moringer focused on magnifying trifling incidences, such as his complaint about insufficient natural light in the basement home in Kensington Palace and arguments about a parking space. Harry condemned William for having a bigger bedroom as a child. We've been through that one already. Come on. Cursed him for ignoring him at Eton and was plainly angry that William did not trust him to make a best man speech at his wedding dinner. Meanwhile, I heard that Harry... Oh, my coaster was stuck to the bottom. I heard that Harry, since then, when he was told he wasn't trusted because William thought he wouldn't stick to the script and that he would go off, and he couldn't be trusted. He couldn't be trusted back then at William's wedding when they were all getting along. Harry has since, after that, admitted, yeah, I wouldn't have stuck to the script. I was ready to go off and do my own thing. William knew. The gold dust for Moringer and the editors was Harry's graphic descriptions of successive shouting matches with Charles and William. The pages describing their fractured relationship sprang to life, not least William lunging at Harry's shirt during their confrontation after Prince Philip's funeral. Similarly, the editors were enthusiastic about Harry's descriptions of his father as emotionally damaged and indecisive. To disparage the future king, Harry told Moringer that Charles usually traveled with his childhood teddy bear, did yoga in his undershorts to cure his back pain, and forever smelt things. He must have been a bloodhound in another life, Moringer inserted. The climax to Harry's damnation of Charles, as told to Moringer, was his father's fear of being overshadowed by Meghan, who was inevitably destined to take center stage. Wow, is Harry delusional? Charles was scared of Meghan because she was going to take center stage. I mean, maybe in a town square where you like throw tomatoes at people and that. He really thought she was all that. Oh, she had him convinced too. No one questioned Harry's inaccurate assertion that Charles did not financially support him or William. Charles's rebuke to Harry, quote, "I'm not made of money," end quote, rang true, but ignored Harry's request for even more than his annual $1 million allowance plus his living expenses. Moringer appears to have rarely checked Harry's version of events. This Penguin Random House, Moringer, it just makes Penguin Random House look horrible, doesn't it? Simple mistakes were unquestioningly included. Quote, "Now you've given me an heir and a spare," Charles allegedly told Diana in hospital after Harry's birth. Quote, "My work is done." His father, recounted Harry, had then gone off to meet his girlfriend. But Diana told Andrew Morton, the most trustworthy reporter in Diana's sentiments, that Charles had said, quote, "Oh, it's a boy, and he's even got rusty hair," end quote. Charles, according to Diana, left the hospital to play polo. Diana later told Richard Kay, another trusted journalist, that Harry's birth marked the happiest period of their marriage. Charles's relationship with Camilla resumed more than once after Harry's birth. Isn't it interesting how Harry feels like he can give a account of what happened? He was a baby, he was just born, but yet, let's trust his memory. His mom herself didn't deny what he said because he hasn't said it yet, but what she said contradicts what Harry is saying now. It's just amazing to me how many times Harry will say something and not realize there's proof out there that you're wrong. I think he was so spoiled and people didn't confront him or challenge him in his life. He was just allowed to do whatever he wanted, and whatever he said he got, and that's what it appears anyway. Among Harry's other vivid memories was the Queen Mother's death in March of 2002. The news, Harry said, was delivered to him by a courier on a bright and warm Easter at Eton. Quote, "Your Highness, the Queen Mother has died," end quote. In reality, Harry was skiing in Closters in Switzerland. On an overcast day, Charles gave him the news. They immediately returned to London. Just a blatant lie, an absolute blatant lie. And then they have documents, obviously, of where all the royals are on any given day. So for him to say that a courtier delivered it to him while he was at Eton. Just wrong. It's just wrong. Harry's more important, quote, mistake was his reason to publish the book, to rebut every lie published about him, and to make up more. To counteract any lie published against me, I will write a book full of lies. That's my interpretation. Okay. Newspapers, he told Moringer, had accused him of cheating in A-level art. The media's source was the admission by Harry's art teacher at Eton that she had improved his exam answer. In Harry's version, his demand that the palace issue a denial for publication was refused by, quote, cold-hearted officials. Harry was wrong. On that same day, newspapers published Clarence House's and Eton's official denials of the teacher's confession as untrue and absurd. The palace's dishonesty was not unusual. On Harry's orders, palace officials repeatedly lied to protect him, not least about his teenage use of drugs. Scrutinizing Harry's version of events was initially hampered by the difficulty of conducting interviews on Zoom. Once the COVID restrictions were abandoned, Moringer headed to Montecito to intensive face-to-face conversations where he would watch Harry assert that newspapers called him a coward by faking a knee injury on the eve of going into the army. Moringer recorded the false accusation, but no newspaper published that claim. On the contrary, newspapers described courageous Harry's misery about missing his deployment because of an unfortunate injury. It's just shocking to me. It's like, I mean, there's got to be in the hundreds at this point, the number of blatant lies that can be refuted with facts and time date stamps and people being in different, and like he just thinks he could say whatever he wants and people will believe him. Similarly, Harry spoke at length about the media's responsibility for causing the suicide of television presenter Caroline Flack, who took her own life in February of 2020. The death of his friend, Harry told Moringer, was rooted in the relentless abuse of the hands of the press year after year. That was untrue. The coroner found that Flack killed herself because she was not to be prosecuted for assaulting a boyfriend in the midst of an unhappy relationship. Her family did not, in fact, directly blame the media for her suicide. I don't know anything about that story. As Harry recounted these false stories to Moringer, his real agenda appeared to be proving how the racist media had prosecuted Meghan, forcing him to flee the country. Okay, same country, same media. All of a sudden, it's okay. The harassment, he said, had started in 2016. At the outset of their relationship, Meghan had walked from Kensington Palace to shop at the local Whole Foods shop. In Harry's description, as she queued at the checkout, she saw rows and rows of magazines and newspapers, all with shocking and disgusting headlines about her. Other shoppers noticed her, looked at the newspapers, and shared a horrible smile with the cashiers. I mean, that's got to be, it's just Meghan's report, but okay. In fact, the Whole Foods didn't even stock newspapers or magazines. And in 2016, hold on a second. Wait a minute. On top of the fact that he has this whole description, first of all, I don't understand forcing them to leave the country. She was harassed because all these newspapers were there. I thought there were going to be paparazzi outside harassing her, and like they did to Catherine, like they did to Diana, like they do to everybody else that comes into the family. But nobody has ever There has never been a group of reporters following Meghan around. She'd love it. It's never happened. She calls them up and just one will show up. Click, 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 click. It's actually funny to watch the show and like, we're hounded by paparazzi and there's nobody around. All right, so that's where I thought this was going. And then I was like, oh, this is crazy. She's all upset just because there are magazine covers upset her. Well, don't look at them, Meghan, right? So she's all worried about that. But no, it gets better. She goes on, and Meghan goes on to say that other shoppers noticed her in there, looked at the newspapers, and shared a horrible smile with the cashier as if they were like... Right. Okay. In fact, in reality, Whole Foods didn't even stock newspapers or magazines. And in 2016, their relationship was still mysterious. The only person who spotted Meghan, because she was still unknown in London, was the Daily Mail's diarist, Richard Kay, who was, by chance, on Kensington High Street during an unplanned break from his nearby office. And that day, Meghan did not feature on a single front page. I mean, this is craziness. What time is it? Oh, I gotta get ready to go. Among his complaints against the newspaper, Harry told Moringer that Meghan's legal claim against the Mail on Sunday was subject to a media blackout. Quote, in fact, it was barely covered at all, Harry said. In truth, every newspaper devoted huge coverage to the case, especially the Mail. So, Meghan sues the Mail on Sunday. Harry claims there was a media blackout. Nobody talked about it at all. And in truth, every newspaper devoted huge coverage to the case, especially the Mail. Okay. I mean, this should just be the chapter of they lied again. They lied again. Here's the proof. They lied again. Here's the proof. They lied again. Here's the proof. Well, Crafty Nana, that is the speculation of many people. Another reason to move is to gather more content for another Netflix special, which I believe William believes. So as to not gain content, he is distancing himself. In fact, this Diana Legacy something is coming up, anniversary thing, and I heard today that William was not going to attend it because Harry is attending it. Now, William cannot avoid his brother forever if he's living in the same country, but I guess William can do his darn best. I mean, come Christmas, speculation is that William and Harry are just going to say, you know what, we decided this year we're going to spend it with the Middletons. Do Christmas with them. Do something a little different this year. Enjoy Harry and Meghan. Wouldn't it be great if the Middletons decided that and then Zara Tyndall and her husband said, you know what, we're going to do the same thing. We always go, my family, we're going to go to his family now this year. And other people would do the same thing. It'd be like Charles and Harry and Meghan and the kids. It'd be so great. Oh, and Andrew and his kids and grandkids. It'd be the disgraced dukes, the Dukes of Hazzard, the Dukes of ill repute, the Dukes of dishonesty, the Dukes of disgust, the Dukes of disgrace. That would be the Christmas. Yeah. Nadine said William was lunging at Harry to see if he was wired to record the service. That would be really funny. There could be truth in that because there were always speculations, even from the Queen, that they might be wired. Isn't that interesting? I think Harry would do barely enough royal duties to get the security he thinks he needs. Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think he's allowed to do royal duties because he's not a royal anymore. I mean, I take that back. He is a royal. He is a royal, but he's not a working royal. So because he's not a working royal, he can show up at things, but he can't work. It can't be like one of the duties. Like he's representing the royal family. I just don't think he can do that anymore. I don't think you can do that as a non-working royal, but I don't know all the ins and outs of it. I guess we'll find out as time goes on. Yeah. All right. It's getting good though. We are about a little bit more than a quarter of the way through our book. So still got a ways to go, but we'll get there. So much is going to happen between now and when we finish this book. But it's really nice to read it now, right? With everything that's going on, to read the things that Harry said and the way he behaved and the thoughts that he had, and to see how contradictory they are to what's going on now. I find it amazing. Okay. That would be great, but Charles, Harry, and Andrew, yeah, could you imagine? Merry Christmas. And on that note, I will see you next Sunday evening. I'm going to sneeze again. Goodbye. I couldn't get out in time. I'm sorry. Bye, friends.
You're like, Megan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
You'll make yourself cry.
Oh, I can do that so well. Oh my God, it's crazy. You're like, Megan, one tear, left eye, go. Give me 3 seconds.
With a camera trained in front of her, crying. One tear, left eye, go.